Akari.
Hey! What the heck?
Akari.
Oh, the title call. This video is...
Don't forget to subscribe!
Hi!
Nintendo! Kirby, that's a name you should know. Kirby, he's the star of the show. He's more than you think, he's got maximum pink. Kirby's the one. He comes right back at ya. He comes right back at ya. Give it all that you got, take your very best shot. He'll send it right back at you for sure, yeah.
How can I help you, King DDD?
I need a monster to claw with that there Kirby.
That's what we do best at NME.
You better get it with a money-back guarantee.
Kirby, saving the day. Kirby, he's here to stay. Don't be fooled by his size, you won't believe your eyes. Kirby's the one. Right back at ya. Yeah.
Welcome back to our review series on the Halloween specials. In this episode, we'll be reviewing Kirby Right Back at Ya, episode 52, or 45 in Japan. Scare tactics. Let's
get this party started!
Spoiler alert.
The episode begins out in the dreamland countryside where Kirby and the kids are playing a game of soccer while Tiff reads nearby. During the game, Kirby is mistaken for the soccer ball and gets kicked into the woods by Tuff, prompting Tiff to go and get him. After finding Kirby, Tiff proceeds to return from the woods, but all of a sudden, she gets lost. Tiff then steps on tripwire that causes a puppet resembling a ghost to swing out at her, giving Tiff a good scare. It is later then revealed that Marilyn Lustergaz set up this trap to practice his scaring skills for the upcoming Spook Out. Later on, the kids walk through Cappy Town reading a flyer promoting the Spook Out and notice of all of the adult Cappies talking about it, relishing in the opportunity to give the kids a good scare, saying it will make their childhoods complete. Tiff has her doubts, but the others will tell her to lighten up a little bit, and she agrees to give the event a try, intent on not letting herself be scared. Meanwhile, at Castle DDD, King DDD is outraged that he is not invited to the Spook Out, but decides he will show them up by hosting his own. He sets out to order a monster from Nightmare Enterprises to help with the task, but Enemy refuses to send them anything due to his outstanding doubt, leaving DDD to fend for himself this time. So later on that night, Tiff and the rest of the kids head to the edge of the woods where they formally enter the Spook Out, set up by the adults. Ito is picked to go in first, but almost immediately comes running right back out in a panic, setting a new record for the shortest time spent in the Spook Out. Seeing this, Tiff resolves to go next and make it all the way through and picks Kirby to go with her, which follows suit as to not get left behind. As they make their way along the path, Kirby steps on another tripwire which causes a ghost puppet to drop. Tuff tries to run for it, but Tiff stops him and points out that the ghost is fake. Chief Bookham looks closely behind and admires the ghost puppets that pop up when he encounters one that was not originally as it seems. Believing it to be a real ghost, he ran off in a panic, but the ghost in question was just as Cargoon in a sheet. Him and Key DDD plan on hijacking the event in order to make the Cappies believe that there were real ghosts in the woods. And as several of the adults start running out of the woods and relaying their experiences, this plan starts to work and the main group waiting outside makes a run for it. As this happens, Tiff starts to lose her nerve, but remains determined, especially when seeing that Kirby is still enjoying himself. When encountering a series of floating blue lights, Tiff chucks a rock into the bush when inadvertently hits Escargoon and pushes on. Seeing this, King DDD grows more determined than ever to scare them. As they continue, Tiff and Tuff comment on Kirby's apparent lack of imagination, and he remains carefree as ever. And at that moment, Escargoon tries to use his ghost trick again to scare them, and it nearly works. Kirby jumps onto Escargoon and then pulls him down. Before Tiff could recognize him later, Escargoon makes a break for it and disappears into the woods. Escargoon breathes a sigh of relief, but soon realizes that he too is now lost in the spooky woods. In a panic, he runs into King Dedede and scares him, causing the king to smack Escargoon repeatedly with his hammer. When Escargoon reveals it's only him, King Dedede gives him a few more whacks for good measure. After assuring himself that there are no real ghosts in the woods, King Dedede turns around and sees a creature wearing a jack-o'-lantern standing on the top of the hood of the royal race car. After scaring both King Dedede and Escargoon away, the creature is revealed to be Kirby, and Tiff is relieved to have finally gotten rid of the two of them. Tiff, Tuff, and Kirby managed to make it out of the woods and reach the graveyard mentioned as part of the tour. Kirby points them to a bunch of arrow signs, which they presume to be directing them to the prize that Professor Curio buried for anyone brave enough to get this far. They end up finding the buried treasure and let Kirby opening it, revealing a medal with a Cappy superhero on it, and a note commending the kids' bravery. Kirby celebrates, but Tiff and Tuff are bemused, expecting a better prize. The celebration is cut short, however, when a sudden storm appears, prompting the group to take cover in a nearby abandoned mansion they did not notice before. As they try to enter, a sudden gust of wind kicks up from the inside, which leads to Tuff being stranded outside the house while Tiff and Kirby are swept inside and the door behind them locked. From inside, Tiff directs Tuff to go and get help when he runs off. On the way, he runs into Meta Knight and recruits the masked Star Warrior to help him get Tiff and Kirby out of the house. Meanwhile, Tiff and Kirby try to stay strong and are met by a glowing apparition which forms into small several lights. Kirby and Tiff were being menaced by a spectral creature composed of a myriad of tiny lights, while Tuff and Meta Knight rush to the mansion to rescue them. As Tiff realizes this specter may be real, she runs away from it deeper into the mansion, as Kirby follows. When Tuff and Meta Knight arrive at the door, Meta Knight attempts to slash the door open using the Galaxia, but it's repelled by a mysterious force, leading him to conclude that the mansion must be under the power of the enemy. Deep inside the mansion, Tiff and Kirby are startled by what resembles a statue of enemy, and run up a spiral staircase. But Tiff realizes that this staircase appears to go infinitely and stops running. Kirby is startled by that and goes sliding down the staircase's handrail, and is nearly skewered by the trap set at the bottom, but manages to avoid it and land back on the first floor. And at this moment, the specter from earlier tries to make a sharp sword fall on Kirby, but Tiff calls at him to jump out of the way and the two run into a different room. Inside this room, Tiff and Kirby find a gloomy green altar decorated with skulls and demonic wings. A blood-like substance starts to pour out of the altar, prompting Tiff and Kirby to run for it again. They stumble into a room full of possessed clocks and are assaulted by the noise therein. Meanwhile, King Dedede and Escargoon make their way toward the mansion looking for shelter from the storm. Tuff and Meta Knight watch from cover as King Dedede and Escargoon easily enter the dorm that kept Tuff and Meta Knight out before. As Tuff wonders this, Meta Knight throws his sword into the crack on the door to keep it from closing entirely. Meanwhile, Tiff realizes that the red blood from earlier was just red paint and wonders about the mansion when she notices King Dedede and Escargoon wandering the halls. Tiff surmises that Dedede may be responsible for this trick when she is reunited with Tuff and Meta Knight. The reunited group follows King Dedede and Escargoon, only to find them sleeping in a bed. Escargoon rolls over, causing King Dedede to fall out of bed and wake up. But this inadvertently saves Dedede from a trap as Escargoon is lifted by his bedsheets into the ceiling. This turns out to be a trick pulled by Meta Knight and Tuff, as they follow this by splashing both DDD and Escargoon with red paint, and causing them to run away in a panic as they mistake each other for monsters. King DDD then stumbled into a haunted painting where a blue ghost-like creature pops out and assaults him with bubbles, forcing him to run again. Meanwhile, Escargoon finds a bathroom and tries to wash the red paint off of himself by using the shower. As the anime changes to black and white and Escargoon washes off, King DDD approaches from behind the curtain and lifts it, and then proceeds to whack Escargoon repeatedly with his hammer in a scene that mirrors the famous shower murder from Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho. After this dramatic scene, Escargoon and King DDD reconcile, only to be frightened away by a flying glowing ghost that turns out to be Kirby with a sheet and 2 flashlights. King DDD and Escargoon flee deeper in the mansion and lock themselves into a basement room. After being spooked out by the decorations inside, a nearby TV screen turns on, revealing the enemy sales guy. He explains that this haunted house was set up as a Kirby trap, and that as soon as Kirby steps into the concealed monster delivery system, he will be transmitted to enemy and destroyed there. King DDD and Escargoon agree to make this happen by using DDD as bait, chaining him to a wall and painting him with fake blood. DDD then pretends to call for help, prompting the kids to go and look for him. Along the way, they find a video camera with a tape showing King DDD and Escargoon being caught in a trap. The trick works on the kids, and they rush to the areas shown on tape, leaving Meta Knight to examine the footage by himself. As King DDD continues to wait, the paint starts to drip into his eyes, putting him in actual pain and making the trap more believable. As the kids enter, Tiff and Tuff start to doubt the situation, but Kirby still goes to help them. Meta Knight then busts in and tosses his sword at Kirby, knocking him out of the trap right before he can be teleported away. Frustrated with the plan's failure, the enemy sales guy decides to send in a monster to bring Kirby back by force. Through the transmitter comes Gabon, a small monster with a skull on its head. It attacks Kirby by throwing bones at him while Escargoon tries to get King DDD down from his hanging position. While Gabon is distracted by this, Kirby inhales one of its bones and tries to gain a copy ability but fails. As King DDD and Escargoon slip away, Kirby continues to be pelted by Gabon's attacks. Meta Knight steps in to help by throwing Kirby a nearby torch to swallow, granting him the fire ability. Upon using this ability, Kirby quickly tortures Gabon and defeats it, but inadvertently lights the whole mansion on fire in the process. The group then leaves, escaping the burning building, leaving King DDD and Escargoon inside by accident. As day breaks and the mansion comes crashing down, King DDD and Escargoon later exit the doorframe, covered in soot, and bicker for a moment about the whole situation, before growing drowsy and falling asleep right there. Seeing this, the kids soon realize that Kirby also followed suit and is also sleeping off the whole ordeal near a tree, as the episode comes to a close.
Did you know that?
The jack-o'-lantern Kirby wears to scare DDD and Escargoon looks strikingly similar to Mr. P. Umpkin. And this episode reveals Honey and Spikehead's relationship.
Now you know!
Overall, needless to say, this episode is very cute though. And it's also very amazing to see Kirby having the fire copy ability once more. All thanks to the assistance of Meta Knight.
So we give this Kirby Right Back episode 4.5 out of 5.
Thank you for watching. What do you think? If you appreciate the content, please be sure to super smash that like button and be sure to subscribe to our channel. And please be sure to follow us on Instagram or my DeviantArt. And don't forget to leave a comment because we really accept kind thoughts. But we here do not allow any trolls or hurtful words or any other terrible meanings necessary allowed. Otherwise, Ren Hoeing from Comedy Central's The Ren and Stimpy Show will haunt you down until the ends of Earth. Keep that in mind. Be sure to subscribe to our channels and click the notification bell. You're never going to miss a video the second it goes live on YouTube and Google. With that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time. Have a nice day!